잠시 후 10시부터 세션을 시작.
From 10 a.m., we are going to begin the session. For interpretation service, channel number 4 is Korean and channel number 5 is English. We are going to begin shortly. Please remain seated. Thank you.
네, 여러분 안녕하십니까?
Good morning, distinguished guests. Welcome to the Marine Bio session of the 18th World Ocean Forum 2024. We have online and offline participants, and it's a great pleasure to meet you. My name is Kim Yeoni, MC for today's event. And today's session has on-site speakers and international speakers participating online at the same time. So we have a hybrid forum that crosses the boundary between online and offline. And we are currently live streaming the session on the website and YouTube channel in Korean and English. And in particular, on the official website of the forum, you can check the presentation materials, and we will have a live Q&A session, and you can leave comments if you have any questions. And for interpretation service, channel number 4 is Korean and channel number 5 is English. And before starting the session in full swing, we are going to invite our speaker for opening remarks. And the speaker is the moderator of our session today. It is President Choi Won-hyun of Marine Biodiversity Institute of Korea. Please welcome President Choi with a big hand.
안녕하십니까.
Good morning. My name is Choi Won-hyun, President of Marine Biodiversity Institute of Korea. So we would like to become the Davos Forum in the marine field. And it is already the 18th forum we are hosting. And at the 18th forum, we are having this first session with the theme of marine bio. And I'm honored to serve as a moderator for the first session. And first of all, I would like to thank all of the participants who are joining us today. And last year at the 17th World Ocean Forum, for the first time, we started to discuss the marine bio industry, which will be the future industry for Korea and the world. So this is the second time we discussed the theme with AI, with the theme of a future prospect of marine bio and AI. And we will have the Professor Chung as the first speaker, which will be followed by different presentations. And we have many participants here who have high interest in marine bio. And now we are witnessing a paradigm shift, and AI as a new technology has indefinite and unlimited potential for the marine bio industry. And we cannot imagine how far it can go, and we can explore the future of AI and the marine bio here. And including ChatGPT, artificial intelligence technologies are innovating fast, and the application has been expanded to different industries. And generally, the marine bio researches the marine life, and red, green, white bio are applied to different industries. And the rapid advancement of AI will have a huge impact on the marine bio. And based on big data, AI technologies have higher capacity for analysis, so it can be helpful to develop new drug and cosmetics. So as such, it will be applied to different industries. That means that there will be a structural change in the field, and it will be the basis for sustainable development of the industry in general. And my organization has been working on various resources for the public, and we have accumulated a huge amount of biodata. So that is why we would like to expect the new changes in the future. And that is why we try to collect and analyze the marine data. That's why we are building the data center. And here today, we will discuss the combination of AI and marine bio, and we will discuss the ways to maximize the synergy effects so that Korea could play a leading role in the marine bio industry in the future. So let us pull our wisdom together. And last but not least, I would like to thank the organizer, and I wish a meaningful forum for every participant here. Thank you.
네, 최원영 과장님.
Thank you, President Che, for opening remarks. And based on AI, we will discuss various topics in this session. So I hope we can find new insights and we can have a forum of exchange of knowledge among us. And now we are going to begin the Marine Bio session for World Ocean Forum. And Mr. Che will serve as a moderator from now. So let me introduce myself once again. My name is Choi Won-hyun. So this is the very first session of the World Ocean Forum, and we have a meaningful guest, so I would like to introduce the guest first. So for the 18th World Ocean Forum, we have a keynote speaker who is from UNESCO. And we have Ms. Chairman Michida Yutaka here. So as you already know, marine biotechnology, as I mentioned in my opening remarks, is to research the marine life so that it can be applied to different industries. However, with the rapid advancement of AI, there has been innovative changes to the field, and there is an unlocked potential. And AI based on big data, we can have a better analysis capacity for marine life and resources. So we can develop new types of cosmetics and drugs. So as I just mentioned in opening remarks, there is unlimited potential for different industries. And to increase the competitiveness, we have to tap into artificial intelligence. That is why here we would like to talk about marine biotechnology, which is based on AI. So we have invited big data specialists from different institutions so that they can share their research outcome and discuss the future direction we have to take. And we have a total of 5 speakers. Professor Chung from POSTECH, and from InSilicogen, we have General Director Kang, and from Hanyang University, we have Professor No, and from Oncobics, we have CEO Kim, and from Marine Biodiversity Institute of Korea, we have Mr. Che. And afterward, we will invite the speakers to the podium for a discussion, and we will also have Mr. Bang No-baek, who is the senior researcher of my organization. And these panelists will talk about the marine biotechnology based on AI. And we have a tight schedule for presentations today, so we give 15 minutes to each speaker. And we will take some questions from the audience during the panel discussion. So first of all, let me introduce our first speaker.
발제 내용을 들어보도록 하겠습니다.
Professor Chong has graduated from Seoul National University and he holds PhD of MIT on the related field. And currently he is the Dean of Department of System Biotechnology and Chemical Engineering, and he's also Vice President of Academic Affairs of PostTech. And he is the editor of the journal Biotechnology and Biotechnology Process. So I have briefly introduced Professor Chong. And the topic of his presentation is Synthetic Biology for Marine Biorefinery, New Opportunity of AI Technology in Ocean Industry. Please give him a big round of applause. Nice to meet you all. I am Jung Hyu-yeol. So the thing that I'm going to cover today is marine biorefinery. Biorefinery is just like oil refinery. So the term is from the oil refinery, but it is just the contrary. So it is using the biomass in order to extract some useful material. So oil contribute to greenhouse gas emission. And that comes from coal, gas, and oil. And gas and coal are used to generate power, and oil is used for transportation and petrochemical material production. In order to reduce the GHG, we need to see petrochemical industry. 80% of oil is used for fuel, and 20% is used for naphtha to make plastic products and other petrochemical products. To reduce the use of this petrochemical fuels, then we will have to replace the oil. If you see the chemical formula of the oil, it is composed of hydrocarbon, so the element is C and H. If you see biomass, plant-based biomass, they also include CHO. So if we properly convert the carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen and can replace the oil, then we will be able to use biomass instead of oil and sustain the petrochemical industry. So that's the goal that we have. So if you look at the bio industry currently, the most used feedstock is corn. So around 1.2 billion tons is produced as for corn, and that's used for food or biofuel feedstock. As you can see on the right side, many industry verticals use corn and make various products out of corn. And a part of that is used for fuel. So as mentioned, 1.2 billion of corn is used across the world, and a part of that is used for fuel, which is around 100 million ton. And 100 million ton out of 4.5 billion tons of oil takes a small amount. So this means that the corn is not enough to replace the oil. So the alternative is non-edible biomass, for example, sugarcane and cornstarch. If we can use sugarcane and cornstarch, then we can replace the oil. So that's why we have done a lot of research on this, but the process was quite complex, so it was difficult to attain economic feasibility. to solve that issue, one idea we came up is turning the eye to the ocean. And highest productivity in the ocean is by brown macroalgae. In order to nurture or cultivate biomacroalgae, we don't need any land, new land or fresh water. So there's no need for additional water supply. And in the aquaculture industry, we don't need any fertilizer because we can use oceanic nutrients as a fertilizer. So there is less negative impact on the environment, yet bigger economic impact. So this is the macroalgae production across the world. China, Korea, Indonesia, Philippines, many Asian countries are cultivating brown macroalgae. And then the total production across the world based on wet weight is 30 million tons. So the amount is quite small. The reason behind this is because the algae is only used for food. So that's why the production volume is not enough. If we are to extract the petrochemical feedstock from the algae, then we will have to increase the production volume. So let's check whether that is possible. This is the kelp map, global kelp map. So this means that there is enough habitat of kelp that we can use. So it is highly promising. So if the kelp seabed is used to cultivate or do aquaculture, then we can produce the kelp to replace the oil. And as you know, we have 100 years of aquaculture history. So water depth of 200 meters or less, then we can use it as an aquaculture form of kelp. Then if we can convert that area to do aquaculture of kelp, then we can use approximately 220,000 square kilometer. Then that will be around 6% of the maximum global demand of oil. Likewise, the brown algae productivity per unit area is quite high, and they can effectively nurtured. So in terms of feedstock volume, it will be okay. The next question is why we cannot use brown algae as industry feedstock. It is because in order to use it for industry, there should be starch or starch-like element. But in case of brown algae, there is not enough starch or carbohydrate. Instead, the alginate, which are not metabolized, are contained in brown algae. So the usability was the problem of using brown algae as feedstock. So we have the synthetic biology toolkit and technology. So we studied the microbe and raised the microbe. We can metabolize the alginate within the brown algae. So as mentioned previously that brown algae was not used because the alginate was not metabolized. If we can edit this function of brown alginate, then we will be able to use it in the industry, and that is called synthetic biology. So synthetic biology means that we can engineer the biosources or bioresources just like we engineer machines. And that depends on how we engineer the gene or genetic data. As mentioned, we need to design the genetic data and edit those genetic data. And genetic data here means the protein, the performance of the protein. And the process is quite complex, but we need to have that forecast on the functionality of the protein. And there are around thousands of processes that is entailed to the gene expression to make protein, so it is very difficult to forecast. So what we did was to study the biology and forecast the amount and the quality of the yeast. And if we can do so, we could edit the genetic data. And by doing so, we could re-edit the genetic data of brown algae so that it can metabolize the alginate. As Korea raised a lot of brown macroalgae, the government decided to do a research on this. In 2002, we won a research project to study brown macroalgae to transform it into useful feedstock. So likewise, we took the first step in order to utilize the synthetic biology to develop alternative feedstock. But in order to replace the current petrochemical or oil industry, then the ample amount should be supplied in order to replace it. And then we will have to have a mass amount of aquaculture farm for feedstock. So for vast aquaculture production, then we will have to study the agriculture methods. In the US, the DOE, Department of Energy, started Mariner program in 2016 in order to develop an automated aquaculture production of brown algae. So this year, KIMST and US ARPA-E, which is under the Department of Energy, signed a memorandum of understanding to apply the automated aquaculture technology to the coastal area of Korea. And the goal of this collaboration between DOE and MOF is to apply the aquacultured brown macroalgae to be applied in various industry verticals. So the goal of our research is to reduce the price of brown macroalgae to be down to $80 per ton. If you think about the oil price, which ranges between 50 to 100% dollars, then I think the price parity will be reached. See, to do the mass scale aquaculture, then first we will have to select the right seed or breed and then have the automated production capability as well as supply chain and other production of biochemicals which can attract many value-added chemical production. I think this is the future of marine biology. In case of Korea, for a long time, we have accumulated know-how and knowledge on aquaculture, and that's why DOE selected Korea to collaborate. And we have high technology prowess or status of biology. For example, CJ and GS Caltex, they use biomass to produce plastic products, and they're ready to hit the market by mass production using this technology. So as such, we have the supply chain and are ready to generate or make new industry based on this new technology. So ultimately, if we succeed in developing this automated aquaculture technology, then the next step is this. We look forward to establishing or making a new marine biochemical complex, just like an industrial complex. then first is to have that technology and build an industrial complex and then have a consolidated bioprocessing. Then that will guarantee sustainability of the bio industry based on green technology. In result, the GHG emission coming from petrochemical will be able to be reduced using such technology. So fishing village in Korea is, the living condition of there is not good because they only produce the food sources. But if the fishing villages can contribute to producing more added value petrochemicals or biochemicals, then the rural area development and economic development of those regions will be reached. So this is the end for my presentation. And the people you see on the screen are the researchers who are tirelessly working on this project. We are working on a small budget and tight schedule. We are making a lot of efforts to meet that. Thank you for listening.
정기율 부총장님.
Thank you for your presentation. So Mr. Tong introduced the synthetic biology. And if it is met with our marine industry, then the synergy effect will be created to produce more economic viability and contribute to sustainability of the ocean. And he suggested various use cases. Biomass-based synthetic biology is eco-friendly, and it is getting a lot of attention for its sustainability. Therefore, it will be able to replace the corn-based biofuel that is coming from starch. So if biomass can contribute to replacing the starch-based biofuel, the volume will be increased, and then we will see the promising results of replacing the petrochemical industry. So once again, please give me Professor Chung a big round of applause.
다음은 두 분.
Next, let us invite Mr. Kang Byung-chul, General Director of InSilicogen. And Mr. Kang received a doctoral degree from Busan National University, and he is working as a General Director at InSilicogen. And he is now building the bioinformatics database. And he has been working on various projects in the same field. And today's theme is digitalized peptides and re-emerging marine bioprospecting. Please welcome the speaker with a big hand.
네, 반갑습니다.
Good morning. My name is Kang Byung-chul from InSilicogen, and I would like to thank the organizer for inviting me. And today, my topic is about genomics and big data from marine resources. And I will give you some case studies, and I will talk about how we can strengthen this capacity for the future. And the ocean is home to various forms of lives. So the bacteria made oxygen, and it was the beginning of the diverse lives in the ocean. And recently we got to know about the dark oxygen, and the ocean could be the first place where the different forms of lives were born. So as you see, the ocean is the origin of lives. So that is why these living species struggle with one another in the ocean, and in the process, we develop our own defense mechanism. And out of the defense mechanism, we use diverse microorganisms and living species surrounding us, and through the interaction, we further develop our own defense mechanism. And we focused on peptides out of diverse defense mechanisms. And peptide is a short protein. And by using this protein, we can find diverse mechanisms. And there are about 1,000 known proteins, known peptides. And we have antimicrobial and antibacterial peptides and proteins, which are fighting against other living species. And there are about 1,000 known peptides, as I said. And what we focused on was AMP, which stands for antimicrobial peptide. And I will give you some cases, and I will give you some potential for expansion. And peptide has shown its potential for different markets. And from 2010, there has been various products being sold on the market. And as you know, NVIDIA is an infrastructure provider, and they are now studying peptide as well. And this is the number of approval for peptide products. And there is an increasing number. It shows that peptide is stable and it has various applications in the biological field. So we see a huge scalability of the peptide in the market. And I mentioned AMP, which is antimicrobial peptide. And there are two processes of antimicrobial activities. So we can directly target the microorganism, or we can trigger the immune system of the host so that the host could respond. So we looked at the direct process. That was our focus. And a small peptide has the characteristic of better affinity to bacteria cells. And with aggregation, they can destroy the cell of microorganisms. That's the process. So I will give you the details. And this is originated from a longer protein, but it was fragmented into shorter proteins, which generates various secondary structures. So this shorter protein is secreted outside the microorganism, and it can work as a peptide from them. And to screen peptide, we have to develop the library, and that is the general way. However, now we have a much more efficient way to do that. And one of that is multi-omics data. So from the genomics, we look at how it interacts with other living species and the surrounding environment. So we can assume the pasts, the latent pasts of the, and by using the pasts through artificial intelligence, we can predict and discover the new competence of the peptide. And we have 3 steps to do that. First, we identify the biochemical activity. And the second step is the application of AI. And the last step is how the peptide is interacting with the protein. So we can find out which protein it is interacting with through molecular docking. And let us talk about the first step. So as you know, proteins are already defined in the biochemical manner. So there are a lot of theoretical basis for these proteins, and the sequence is fragmented theoretically, and based on the theories we can perform the calculations. And we can develop this kind of large-scale metrics based on calculations, and there we can find the data which could be used for artificial intelligence. And for example, if we study the abalone, there are diverse proteins within the abalone. But before going through the process, we can look at the existing knowledge of other marine lives, and we have the information on them. That's why we can perform calculation faster, even for the new protein. And by using artificial intelligence, we can select a certain part of the marine life, and we can use different technologies. And we used about 15 AI models, and we selected high-performing models, and we have been optimizing them. And let me give you details on the models. So even though I say artificial intelligence, it is more of machine learning and deep learning. And these days we are utilizing machine learning actively because the biologically significant characteristics can be extracted, and we need to secure the explainability of them. So the data we extract should be applied to the medical field and the agricultural field. And to explain the phenomenon and to predict what would happen, we need to secure explainability beforehand. That is why we are using machine learning. And there is a difference from the existing statistics and the new AI statistics. And the existing statistics is looking at the linear relationship. However, AI could even give an answer for non-linear interactions. So we have different algorithms, but we focused on 15 AI models, and we evaluated all of them, but now we are focused on 5 highest performing models. And we built the data of 200 characteristics. And from these 200 data points, we went through all the learning processes so that we can examine the biochemical features. And this is the result. So you can see each characteristic and its correlation with our target. So you can see the mixture. So it is not always working well. So by doing so, I believe that we can get the help of AI. So we finished the examination, and I told you that we are focusing on 5 highest performing models. And now we have secured approximately 90% of accuracy. So this is the progress we have achieved so far. So for peptide X, if we find out it has the antimicrobial capacity, we have to look at which protein it interacts with through simulation. So we can do the simulation to examine that. So for example, here we have KAP1. So NRF2 is the protein it is binding with. However, if there is an external stress of oxidation, NRF2 is released and it will go into the nucleate so that it can trigger the defense mechanism. So our peptide could be binded instead of NRF. So NRF will be abundant and it could go into the nucleate more, and the antimicrobial capacity will go up accordingly. And this is the conditions for target selection. And we looked at the dynamics of the molecular docking. And we selected the peptide X, and this is the result of our research. We looked at how much capacity it has with the human body and how much protein could be produced. So this is the examination table for a certain peptide, and we can explain the structure of the peptide as a result. And so if we examine about 10 peptides, we can find a high efficiency for 6 peptides in general. So these are the case studies which were conducted successfully, and it is not only applied to the marine bio field, but also to other sectors. So artificial intelligence and big data can play a certain role in marine biotechnology. So AI and big data can identify unknown information. So we can identify the traces of different marine lives, and we can find information about the peptide, which can be delivered to the human body. And AI could play the role. And by doing so, marine-derived peptide could be commercialized, and we can secure the original sources in the future. But to achieve this goal, AI and big data should be converged, especially for the marine biofield. Diverse marine resources, they are less known compared to the land species. So we need further information on them. And to find more information, we need to use AI to find more genomic data and information. Then at the end of the day, we can identify new biomaterials. Thank you very much.
수고하셨습니다.
Thank you very much. It is a very difficult topic to cover. So for marine bioengineering, we have to converge AI and big data so that it can be used for the development of the medical and bioengineering fields. And peptide has been garnering a huge attention these days, and it was mentioned in the presentation. And based on machine learning, the pattern could be identified, and they found 5 significant models out of 15 algorithms. So he showed the potential of the technology for the future. And please give another big hand to Mr. Kang.
자, 다음은
Next, the third presentation will be given by Professor No Mina. Professor No and graduated from Indiana University Computer Engineering Department, and currently is the professor of computer software department at Hanyang University. Professor No mainly conducts research on big data mining in biomedical science and the development of AI-based predictive models. She also serves as the director of legislation at the Korean Society of Bioinformatics. Then, please give her a big round of applause. Good morning. I am Nomina from Hanyang University. Thank you for inviting me to this important forum. The topic that I will cover today is deep learning approaches for deciphering composition and functional roles of the ocean microbiome. So today I will explain how we applied AI and deep learning on studying ocean microbiome. As you well know, microbiome can be microbiome consists of microbiota and theater of activity, so we don't have to culture, so those are uncultured. So we need to comprehensively study the environment as well as their theater of activity. So first we need to know which kind of microbe exists in certain environment and how they function in those certain environment. So the problem here is that when we transfer that genetic information into data, first, we had expected that if we have the genetic information, then we can convert those data into the true microbe or so. But it was difficult to recover the genetic sequence of, or the genetic information, fragmented genetic information that we had. So we changed the study research approach. So instead of recovering the fragmented genetic information, we focus on the functional role of the microbe. So the microbiome research is gaining a lot of attention, especially in the human microbiome research. But the big R&D project is on ocean microbiome. As you can see, the consortium was formed in early 2000. And 20 years have passed, and a lot of big consortiums were kicked off to study ocean microbiome. Especially in ocean microbiome, we see the relationship between ground and ocean and the different functionality between ocean and ground. So in many areas, we see a lot of proteobacteria in vast area of the ocean. And the functionality, especially the energy functionality of the microbe. So in the past, we tried to reproduce each microbe functionality, but instead now we focus on certain environments. So whether certain specific feature is enhancing the microbe. So as you can see on the slide, we study coastal area of Korea. We studied Jeju Island and South Sea. We saw seawater sediment and seafloor sediment to study the differences in functionality, and there was a clear differences. And through the pathway, functionality pathway, we saw the distribution of enzyme within the microbe. So this is the research that we have conducted in our lab. So environment microbiome, especially ocean microbiome, the importance it has is because of the relationship it has with humans. So recently, the One Health approach, you can confirm that in the recent research. The ARG gene is getting a lot of attention because it can be transmitted to human. So in order to study that, we need to see environment and the product that comes from those environment. And if they are included in that, then it can directly transfer to human. And according to one research, by 2050, the ARG gene can contribute to death of a human in a large scale. So that's why we need to study this field. The previous microbiome research was more of task-specific research. But nowadays, it has changed. Through data production, as we can use the AI technology, we can use the AI algorithm model to understand the problem and extract a solution based on that. So one of the representative example is what you see on the slide. The three renowned experts in AI, they wrote a review paper in 2015 while explaining the deep learning. And they pinpointed drug discovery and genomics as a promising field out of AI. The reason behind this is because the chemical compound and genomics DNA sequence data size is quite big in the biometrics industry. If the vast amount of data can be learned through AI, then the result will be very promising. So in the past, we only focus on task-specific research, but now we can use a deep learning algorithm for a more generalized solution. So for example, as you can see from the personalized medicine case, you can see the effect between or interaction between the medicine and the specific human. So likewise, the focus is on how we can optimize the model to suit the genome. The most used algorithm, deep learning algorithm, is large language model. As mentioned in the past, large language model was based on rule-based model, task-specific rule-based. So it was a database, but nowadays it is more of neural network based. So it has a vast amounts of parameters, and research nowadays focus on this neural network based large language model.